Thanks again for joining us today. This is Sunlight Radio Online. My name is Akwesi Opong and this is Couples Date Night. And today we are talking about creating conditions for a great marriage. You know, I've made an analogy today and we've talked about the conditions I created for the seeds I put in my garden to start growing. And now it looks like I'm going to have a great harvest this summer, you know, and the conditions we create makes a difference. And the question to you is, what conditions are you creating? What are the things you're doing today to ensure that some great conditions are being created in your relationship? So I still have quite a number of things to share with you as we go through these. Think about the state of your house today, your home today, your marriage, your relationship with your children, you know, with your parents, your friends. What kind of conditions are you creating? And as I've often said, if you're interested in contributing to our show, we do have a number. It's 240-772-1420. And we will keep going through our list of things that we're discussing today. The next thing to do to create great conditions in your relationship is a very simple thing, but it's to learn to say thank you. You know, gratitude helps a great deal when it comes to our relationship. If we learn to say thank you by appreciating the things that our spouses are doing for us, it creates that condition for us to get more. There's a quote that I often say that says that what we appreciate appreciates. So what we're grateful for, we get more of it. So saying thank you, learning to be grateful, really creates the condition that will help your marriage to thrive. You know, we have to thank them for trusting us. We have to thank our spouse for being vulnerable with us, and you know, taking some challenges and risks with us. And we have to let them know that we appreciate them. You know, it's very important. You know, it does not matter if you do not see eye to eye every so often, which I've often said it's okay. You know, what matters is that you try to show your gratitude in the things that are going well. Commit to figuring things out and continue to working on your relationship. But making sure that you're showing gratitude is a very, very good place to start. You know, so following through the things we say we'll do is another thing that creates a great environment for your marriage to thrive. You know, if we say we will do something, let's make sure that we are doing it. You know, let's make sure that our promises are not falling flat. Let's be a man of our woman of our words. You know, if we promise something, let's deliver it. It all goes to create that wonderful environment we need for our relationships to thrive. Yes. So, what are some of the areas that we can create conditions that will help our relationship? So we've been talking about some of the things that we can do, but let's drill this a little bit deep down. What are some of the areas that we can create these conditions? And I'll say, let's call them safe conditions for, you know, because when you plant those seeds, you have to make sure they are in safe conditions. You don't plant them on close to a rock or in sand. You have to plant them in the good soil. So there are certain areas that we have to make sure that we are creating these safe conditions for our relationships to thrive. And the first area is that we have to make sure that we there's safety in expressing ourselves fully and authentically. So when it comes to self-expression or talking or communicating in your relationship, make sure your partner feels safe. And with this, I'm really referring to the men. Make sure that when your wife wants to speak up about something she's not happy about, she feels safe, she feels comfortable to do that. Assure her that it's okay You can talk about areas that you think I need improvement or I need help. I need to do better. You know, you have to make her feel safe. That is a condition for love to develop. You know, it brings trust, it opens up communication lines, and it helps both of you to grow. You know, you have to make sure that there's safety in shared dissatisfaction about something that, you know, your partner did. So again, it goes back to the first point. So if I do something that doesn't measure up, I want to know that, you know, my wife will be okay and she's willing to forgive me and for us to move on. You know, creating these atmospheres, these environments, these conditions really help a lot. The other thing is when it comes to intimacy, sexual issues. You know, does your partner feel comfortable sharing their deep, intimate issues with you? And I'm saying this because most too often there are, especially men who go out and talk about their, you know, intimate moments about with their wives, with other people. That is a no-go. That is a line that nobody should cross. You know, our partners have to feel safe that when it comes to intimacy, what happens just stay between the two of you. It's a condition we have to create to bring trust and also to build confidence. You know, we also have to make sure we create safety around the conditions of, you know, personal insecurities and fears. Personal insecurities come from things that we have failed in, things that we've not measured up, things that we've not been able to do very well. You know, as a spouse, you know your partner very well, and those are areas that you have to protect them. You know, you have to protect them. No public shaming, no comparing to other husbands or wives that, you know, this person's husband did this that you didn't do. None of those, because those create environments and conditions that love cannot thrive. So let's make sure that we're doing away with those things to create the right conditions. So another area we can create a safe environment is have conversations without knowing that it's not going to escalate into conflict. You know, when there's a subject or a topic that both of you have to talk about and resolve, create the condition for your spouse to know that we are really going to talk about this. I'm not going to get upset. I'm not going to look down on you. I'm not going to be bitter about it. I'm not going to hold unforgiveness about this issue. I've opened my heart for us to really talk about these issues. So these are some of the safety areas that we really have to make sure that we're investing not only our time but our thought processes to make sure that there's safety. Our partners feel safe. When they feel safe, they can open up, they can show more love, they can be more connected, they can be more adventurous, and your intimacy will be wonderful because your partner feels safe. So let's invest into these things as we continue to think about the conditions that we are creating for our relationships to thrive. So before we move along, I just want all of you to know that this show is being archived on our website, which is www.enjoylifewithyourspouse.com. Every Friday or Thursday night, the broadcast we have is posted on our site, so you can go back and review it, and along with it we have other resources too where you can get some downloadable material. Some are complimentary. We do have a PDF, an ebook available also that will be of help to you. So as we move through our list today, I hope this has really been a great blessing to you. I would like you to contribute. If you want to add to what we're saying or ask a question, you're welcome to do so. The phone number is 240-772-1420. We will be right back. for joining us again. This is Sunlight Radio Online. My name is Akwesi Apong, and we are talking today about conditions that we need to create for our marriages to thrive. We're talking about conditions for a great marriage. What environment are you creating in your home? What environment are you creating for love to thrive? You know, love is there. They say love is in the air. Love hasn't gone anywhere. It's there. If you create the right conditions, it will thrive. Just like those seeds I put in those pots in my house a few weeks ago. What I realized is that I created the environment, and guess what? The seeds are thriving, they're growing, they're blooming. And I just can't wait to see the flowers, you know, the spring or sometime this summer. And I'm also looking forward to those tomatoes and those spices that are beginning to grow. I created those conditions. And if we create the right conditions, love will bloom. It will thrive. And our goal today is to give you those ideas and those tools you need to go out there and create the conditions that will let love bloom. So, what are the conditions that you need to create? And again, we're getting into the fine details here. So, I have a list of things for you here. So, the first thing is love. You have to create conditions of love. You know, it's something that we've talked about the love languages. You know the things that you do that spell love to your spouse. So if we create those conditions, if your wife loves services, you do things for her. When you do that, she feels loved. If your husband likes gifts, if you buy a gift for him, he's gonna feel loved. It creates that condition. You know, we have to understand and remember the mission for our relationship. You know, when I say understand and remember, you always have to know that the two of you are in together. This is not about one person over the other, or who win, who lost, or who's better than the other. We are in together. We both win together. We both fail together. That creates a condition that love can thrive in. Romance is another one. You know, it's not far from love. We always have to make sure we are creating a romantic environment. You know, the least of them is, I've often said this. I spoke to a number of couples some time ago, and I said, sometimes just play nice music in your home. You know, there shouldn't be any occasion. You know, have some nice jazz playing in the background in your home when all of you are gathered, and it creates this wonderful, romantic, soothing environment in your home. You know, I really like jazz music. It always sets the tone for, you know, relaxation and conversation, and it has. And there's so many things that you can do to create a romantic environment, and we have to work on it. That's one thing that always falls to the bottom of the barrel. But think of the romantic things you can do. You know, buy gifts. I've talked about gifts. Send your wife some flowers. You know, you've heard your husband talk about something he wants to do, and you know, surprise him. And this is not. I'm not talking about Valentine or birthdays or Christmas or those. This is just for the sake of nothing. I just want to do something romantic for my spouse. Those things really create romantic conditions for your relationship to thrive. You know, humility is a big one. You know, how humble are we? You know, when we're wrong, we're able to admit it. When we know that, you know, we didn't live up to expectation, we really accept it, and we really own it. You know, that really also sets up the tone and the pace for really very good conditions for love to thrive. Creating fun and playfulness is another thing. You know, when's the last time we both, you know, wrestled each other, or played a board game, or went out to run, or, you know, tickled each other, or just being funny and silly? You know, it all creates that wonderful, playful environment. I remember a couple of years ago, my wife and I were going for a walk in the park, and we got somewhere there was a swing. those swings that kids play on. And, I'm not a kid anymore, but that swing was just calling me. So I jumped on that swing and I started swinging. And with my whole 6'2" body, I just felt like a kid all over again. It felt so good. It reminded me when I was in primary school, we used to swing and jump off the swing, but this time I didn't jump. I couldn't take that risk. But the point is, we have to learn to play again. It creates that condition for our lives to thrive in our relationship. So play, the element of playing and excitement and joy. Let's create those environments for our lives to thrive. Patience and forgiveness is another thing. Selflessness, going out of your way to do things for your spouse that typically you wouldn't do. Sometimes it's even something that really takes you out of your way, but you're doing it because you want to create that environment, that condition for life to thrive. Honesty and trust. How well do we communicate? The ability to communicate without fear. I talked about it earlier. The art of communication is very important. And as most of you know, communication is a huge thing in most relationships. That's where a lot of conflict starts from. That's where a lot of problems start. So our ability to really learn how to communicate well will definitely create a good condition for our love and our marriages to thrive. So invest in learning how to communicate, how to talk very well. And again, communication also involves listening, making sure that you heard clearly what your spouse is trying to pass along to you. So remind your partner and yourself that you appreciate them. We've talked about gratitude. It's very, very important. We have to learn to practice honesty. Even when we are ashamed or we are at fault, we have to be honest. Because as you know, two lies doesn't make a truth, or two wrongs does not make a right. Just as in the Bible, when David sinned by taking somebody's wife and found out that the lady was pregnant, and instead of making it right, he took another step to make it wrong again. And that actually dug him deeper into issues. And if you read the account, David paid dearly for it, for what he had done. So when we do something wrong, let's own up for it. It actually creates a great environment for trust to develop in our relationships. Take care of your appearance. That's one big one. We tell married couples a lot when we do mentoring that, you have to take care of yourself. You have to make sure you look good. You have to make sure that you are taking care of yourself mentally, physically, emotionally. Emotional intelligence. That's something we've spoken about quite a bit. If you go on our website, enjoylifewithyourspouse.com, and look through the archives, you're going to find one on emotional intelligence. We did a whole 1 hour section on that, and I want you to listen to that. It's really going to give you a lot of resources as to how to learn to manage your emotions. That's part of taking care of yourself, and foster friendships outside your marriage. That is key. And this I say with caution in the sense that first of all, marriage cannot be done in isolation. You cannot just be with your wife, just the two of you, and marry and think that it's all going to be just the two of you. Human beings we thrive on relationships, and most too often marriage is done in isolation. There's conflict and you think all the evil things, all the negative things are happening to just the two of you. But when you link up with other couples who have the same values, the same faith, the same belief systems as you, couples that you admire, you trust, It opens up, the opportunity for you to do life together. It opens up the opportunity for you to, learn from them and they learning from you. I can't tell you how many times when we've taken trips to visit friends and we always come back learning something new, whether it's a new recipe or a new spice we've never tried before, or a new way of doing something. It's just so much refreshing when we learn to really do life with other couples, who can pour resources and knowledge and skill into our lives. That also creates a wonderful condition for our relationships to thrive. So, rounding the section up, as we talked about the things the conditions that we need to create. The last one is our words, the words we use. We have to create good conditions by speaking the right words, by saying nice things, not being verbally abusive, not looking down on your spouse with words, but speaking the right words, speaking words of encouragement, words that build up, words that are filled with love, and words that really lift up your spouse. And that is a great recipe that will help you develop the great conditions for your relationships to thrive. So I hope that as we've gone through this, you've really been thinking about your own relationship and you've asked yourself the question, what am I doing for those seeds to grow? The day you had your wedding, the day you got married, you put that seed in that soil. And the question is, have you made sure the soil is good? Have you put water on it? Have you made sure that, the conditions around your marriage is good for that relationship to thrive? The more effort we put into it, the more work we put into it will ensure that the relationship will start taking steps in the right direction. We're going to start seeing the branches grow. We're going to start seeing budding flowers coming up. And the goal, the objective of all of this is to see fruit. Fruit. This past week I learned something about fruit, that we have to bear fruit. What shows when you go to work, all the work you do, your boss doesn't care if you're standing to do your work or you're sitting, or you have one of those desks where you can hang from the ceiling to do your work. What they want is results. The fruit, the fruit you're providing for them is what they want to see. So it's important that we make sure that our relationships are not just thriving, but we're seeing the fruit of the work coming out of our relationships. So let's ensure that we're putting in all that we can. So one of the things I also want to add before we round up today is that will help to create conditions for your relationship to thrive is that you have to learn to create traditions, for your marriage, and traditions help to maintain a great environment in your home. Traditions are things that you and your spouse do every so often, or you do around certain seasons, or traditions are things that you do only in your home. If you go to other homes, you probably won't see them do. Maybe they have other things they do as well, But traditions are those things that, let's say, if it's an anniversary or if it's a birthday, you really celebrate it. You don't just say happy birthday, God bless you, have a good life, but you really do something, you make sure that it doesn't always mean you have to go out to eat or go buy something, but even if it's cooking that special dish and all of you sitting by the table to enjoy that meal, to acknowledge that anniversary, whether it's an engagement or a wedding anniversary or a birthday or in any of those. But having traditions always creates good conditions for relationships to thrive. We have to learn to celebrate. I often tell my wife that, the scriptures in the Bible, especially in Psalms, they say rejoice. Again, I say rejoice. Celebrate. Let your heart be full. All these things talks about moments of joy and celebration. But you often don't hear, especially as Christians, talk about celebration and joy and merrymaking. It's all often the what's not going well and what hurts and what's painful. But we are encouraged to do these things, and the more we celebrate and enjoy what is happening, we get more opportunities to do more. So as we round up today, think of the things that you can do to create traditions that help you to improve the conditions in your relationship. And as we invest into these things, and as we put time into making sure that we are really putting time into this, we are going to see that our relationships will grow, our marriages will thrive, and we will be on our way to having a wonderful relationship. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope to see you again next week. Have a wonderful week. God bless you, and make sure that you work in building a wonderful condition for your marriages to thrive.